It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Welcome to a special episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knutson.
Ew.
It is May 9th today. Well, I mean, okay, technically it's May 10th because we're doing this at fucking 12:43 in the morning, but it was Corey's birthday 43 minutes ago. So we're coming off of that. We're also Mother's Day going into that. So we'll talk about movies eventually. We had Mortal Kombat 2. But Corey, how was your birthday?
You know, I worked, so
Yeah.
I was...
Why don't you ever take your birthday off?
It's just another day after 21. I think we talked about it last week.
It is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was fun. We had a fun day watching Mortal Kombat 2 yesterday. It's a fun little tradition. We saw Sisu a couple years ago. I don't know if last year we saw anything, but...
Might not have been anything worth seeing, honestly. I feel like at the beginning of May, Marvel had just such a stranglehold on that first week of May. And it's just kind of died away a little bit, especially with just as we're waiting for Avengers Doomsday and all that stuff building up. So it's just been hard to have like a big project coming out. Then we have Mortal Kombat 2, kind of thankfully, but maybe we should have saw The Sheep Detectives instead. I have no fucking idea. That movie's supposedly really good, weirdly enough. No one would have guessed that from any of the trailers.
I think maybe last year, not directly on our birthdays, but Thunderbolts was that first weekend in May. So I think it was around there that we did that.
Waited and saw it with Aiden and Tanner.
Yeah, with some buddies, so we did that. But no, we exchanged some gifts. I feel like a fucking bitch. The first time it's ever happened, just quiet for a second. Quiet.
It's not that bad.
First time ever it's happened, Mason and I get each other movies, and we're usually very good about not getting things that we already have. I was it was on Sunday or Monday or something when we recorded last. I think it was Sunday, maybe.
I think it was Sunday, because then we watched the rest of the Wild game?
Rest of the Wild game.
Of game one of Colorado and Minnesota.
Yeah, when there was like 400 goals scored.
Yeah.
We ordered
5-5 and going into the third. Just a beautiful game.
Ordered some Five Guys, and that was fantastic. I had whiskey, and I was looking at Mason's movie collection, obviously in a very sober mindset. And did not notice that I already bought him Lost Highway from David Lynch, so I bought it this morning, and I was like, because it was the last thing I needed for his gift, and I was like, all right, I don't think he has this. I meant Inland Empire, David Lynch's other movie, so I bought that, so I apologize, but, I've got the receipt. You can buy Spring Breakers on fucking Kino Lorber or whatever the fuck they do.
If you've never watched this, actually, I don't know if we've talked about my hate for Spring Breakers. Are you grabbing the fucking Blu-ray? Do you have Spring Breakers?
No, hold on.
Okay, now I'm scared. I hate Spring Breakers. That is a movie that I just cannot get through. Oh, okay. This makes more sense.
Yeah.
If you got me Spring Breakers, which, like, that's kind of what my mindset is when I'm buying you gifts, because, like, I no longer really know where your collection is at with movies, because we typically are the only people buying each other. Like, I only buy you movies for your birthday, unless, I don't know, I doubt your mom or any of your brothers are getting you a movie. No one in my family gets me movies anymore, so it's just you and I buying each other movies for birthdays. And I don't know where your collection's at. I always forget if I've gotten you something or not already. So my goal is just to always get you a really good copy of something I know you will never buy for yourself. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a movie you hate, you've never seen, and have never had interest in seeing. Like, we went on the string with, like, the Sony... like Madam Web type movies, the Sony universe. So I was like, you know what? I'll hit those movies that I know he would like to have in his collection just to have them, but he will not want to spend money on himself. So that usually leads me into pretty good territory. But I'm actually kind of jealous somewhat of the gift I got you this year, because I still want to watch that movie.
Well, speaking of movies I would never buy for myself, that's a great way to approach it. I should have done that this year. But you got The Blackening, which fantastic steelbook.
Awesome.
The design of the steelbook. For the audio listeners, it's got the nice slipcover on there. Good artwork, just kind of like a black and white kind of silhouette is on there. It's really sweet.
Lionsgate Steelbook's awesome.
Incredible. And then this fucking awesome Coors hat that's kind of like a cream color. Got the United States in red, Coors in blue. I'm going to toss that in right now to hide the fucking hairlines. I'm insecure about that at 26 years old now. So it's good. I'm also just still kind of pissed that I bought Mason movies I already got.
Oh, it's fine.
I know I've said it a million times. I'm going to be done saying it now. But, yeah, so anyways, we exchanged some gifts.
I still got the tag. He got me a Coca-Cola hat. Really like this. I'm a big fan of a fridge cig or a Diet Coke. We haven't even started talking about fucking movies yet. But
yeah, fuck it.
I got the tag still on it. So it feels like when lids was like a thing randomly, and people kept all the fucking stickers and
yeah.
shit on it. I'm like, just fucking take the goddamn shit off your hat and wear your fucking hat, please. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited to have this. I've been buying a bunch of like bigger and
trucker hats
and stuff like that, as I have a fucked hairline too. And I don't know. I'm kind of going through and revamping my hat collection because I've had hats that I've been wearing hats that I've owned since I was like 17. And now being 26, 9 years on, it's like, that hat's fucking disgusting. So, out with the old, in with the new.
There we go.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of that fucking hat.
Love this hat.
I was in between a couple of them. I was obviously going to get Corey a Coors hat. I was in between a couple of them, and Allie was like, duh. Like, obviously that one. So, big fan of that as well.
100%. Well, thank you for the gifts. Now essentially you have a $40 gift card to Barnes & Noble. So, you can go get yourself whatever you want. So,
which is nice.
A Criterion, whatever you want to get. So... happy birthday. We're 26, getting a little more depressed every year. That's fucking fun. Yeah. Love that shit.
Khan dropped a good album for us to just be depressed this entire month.
Yeah, and then the interesting just Bear episode that also just really kicked in for everything. I'm just feeling a lot of shit.
Do you just want to start with that instead of Mortal Kombat?
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's start with Gary.
Let's do that. Also, you briefly mentioned it. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Anybody listening, just do something nice for your mom. Buy her flowers, take her out to dinner, doing something. They do a lot that we never realize how much they do. So go support your mom. Go just show her some love. Anyways, we are drinking very briefly. Mason brought over some Angel's Envy Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey in a little nice... Do you saw that little glass?
I recycled that shit.
Sick. Cool little bottle. Really good fucking whiskey. We also have... what the fuck is this called? Must Be Jelly Fruited Hazy IPA from Headflyer Brewing. Tastes very fruity, obviously. Tastes like jelly.
That's great.
We fuck with this. This is a lot better than if you're a longtime listener of the Captain America Brave New World review when we had marshmallow fucking beer. Or beer.
It was like tangerine marshmallow, but it came out like fucking green. It looked like Shrek's discharge. Like, it was disgusting. And it was thick. Like, it's separate, which... This is separating a little bit once I got down to the bottom of the first beer. It does have a little bit of separation, but that one, like, you could see it separate, and not like in like a Guinness way where that is a aspect to drinking Guinness, watching it separate and like it being charged. That is an aspect to Guinness. Mm-hmm. Whatever that was, one of the worst things I've ever fucking tasted. And I'm not a picky eater. I was a fat kid growing up. I eat and drink anything. That shit I draw the line at. That was not okay. That was offensive. But this is great. It actually tastes like jelly. I'm starting to become a bigger fan of IPAs, which everyone in my family is like, yay, you're an old white man now. Which 26, health insurance and all that.
We're getting there. We're in our late mid-20s, so
yeah.
Whatever. Fuck it. But yeah, as you mentioned, let's start with a new episode of The Bear that randomly dropped earlier this week. I want to start off with just the method with which this episode was dropped in, because it's something we just don't see a lot of anymore, where something comes out that nobody had any idea was happening. In an era when we have a segment on our movie news every week talking about new trailers and breaking down and like, Avengers Doomsday and all this shit. And, other movie critics on YouTube and other platforms that are spoiling things about Avengers movies that are coming out down the road and saying, here's plot points that are happening in this movie, and just, things.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. I fucking hate it. So this episode of The Bear, titled Gary, it's 58 minutes long, and it just dropped on Hulu. And then they were just like, hey, go check it out right now. Awesome. I love that. I wish more shows and more movies. I wish we just didn't have like trailers as much and as much marketing. I just think it's a really cool kind of release method for this episode. But essentially, it is a prequel episode to the 4 seasons of The Bear that we have. It follows Richie, played by Eben Moss-Backrack, and Mikey, played by John Bernthal. And they're both working at The Bear at this point in the story. Or not at The Bear, but at the restaurant, the original beef of Chicagoland. And they're going on this little side quest almost to Gary, Indiana, which that town's come up a lot recently with Michael Jackson being from there.
Yeah.
Showing his
which they
hometown.
make mention of in this episode.
Like, fuck, there's this house over there. But Richie and Mikey go on this quest, just delivering a package to somebody in Gary, Indiana. And while they're there, they just kind of fuck around for a bit. And it's so much fun. I really love this episode. And it just kind of starts out with like the two guys who are really just best friends, but in a very complicated way. And they're just kind of like smoking cigs, listening to music on the way there. They got a playlist for Gary, Indiana. And then they're like, all right, well, we have some time before we have to deliver this package, before we meet with the guy. So let's just see what Gary's about. Let's check it out. One of the first things they do is just stop into like a local hot dog place and talk with the owner as they're sitting there and just like, what do you like about this job? Like, we kind of work in a restaurant too? Like, do you like it? And then they go, just one of my favorite moments from this is they're driving, John Bernthal sees some kids playing basketball, and he's like, what are those little fucking bastards doing? Immediately rips into the parking lot, gets out, and they're like, all right, you fuckers, we're playing. All right, let's get us in. We're playing.
Give us one of yours. You guys have 3. We'll do 3v3.
It's just chirping them the entire time. Just being like, oh, it's the orange circle that you're trying to get it in. You're trying to get it in there to these like fucking high school kids.
Yeah, everyone's least favorite person to play basketball or any sport against. It's that type of chirping of just like nonstop in your ear, in your face. It's just like, I'm rooting for you, but like, fucking damn it, dude, I hate you right now. Fantastic.
Immediately after that scene, they go into a gas station. And John Bernthal, as Mikey opens the door, says, you guys have tall boys? He was like, nope, we have regular drinks or whatever. They just get some beers. They're just like fucking around in the parking lot. Like, but yeah, when I kick you from the back like a donkey, it'll take you out like this because I have the power going. And just these like little moments of them just being fucking dudes, just fucking around. Fantastic. And then it kind of leads to them going into this bar that is near the location that their pickup is. And Richie goes in there at first, and he's just the man of the people, where he's just like telling stories. They're doing fact or fiction of like, all right, tell us something from your life if this is real or not. And then John Bernthal eventually comes in, meets a woman named Sherry, and they kind of connect. They're talking on a deeper level. And this is really where the episode kind of goes from that fun of like the boys hanging out to just this like emotional, just deep thing that I think the Bear handles really well, and part of the reason why I'm like, I think the conversation around it being a comedy show, like being a comedy series, and people are like, it's not even a comedy. I'm so tired of that fucking conversation. It's like, you have 30 minutes of this episode that's fun and there's good jokes and it makes you laugh, but like there's a lot of deep shit in this here too. And kind of getting into a little bit of spoilers for The Bear, especially season 1, if you haven't seen any of it. I know you've seen parts.
I've seen all of... I think I missed a portion of that first episode of season 1, but otherwise I've seen all of season 1. I watched it while babysitting, but I watched all of that first season in basically one sitting. It just kept loading up. I was like, I'm not going to stop it. I like what's happening here. I haven't gone past that. I know of John Bernthal's character and the small snippets you see of him throughout at least the early parts of that first season, but I don't really remember much or know much about it. It's been a while since I watched that season, so I'm coming at watching this episode this past week with relatively fresh eyes, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, go ahead, spoil away. If anything, because you saw it earlier, you watched this episode before me, and you mentioned you should watch it. I want to talk about it tonight. This is a good way to entice someone to watch this show, I feel like. As I've only have, like, obviously a limited kind of section of this show that I have under my belt. I think that from what I remember of that first season and now what I got in Gary, I'm like, now knowing what this show has evolved into, a lot of that emotional weight and stuff, which is present in that first season, I'm like, I missed this. I should continue on with this show. It's a great episode. But anyways.
So kind of to get into spoilers of things, check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But basically Richie is, this is when he's still married to, his wife, and they're about to have a kid. He has to be back at a certain time. So they're like, all right, I have to be back at 5:15 for my kid. And they're at this bar. And then John Bernthal, they're both getting too drunk, taking too many shots, doing too much coke, and just having too much fun. Richie is still being the man's man, just of the people, having fun, taking shots with people, having a great time. John Bernthal, just and I told Mason this morning when I told him to watch it before this episode. I said, this is my favorite thing I've watched this year, movie, TV show-wise, anything. This 57, 58-minute little short film almost, that if you haven't seen anything else of The Bear, you can still watch it and just be like, wow, this is a great little character story. But you see Mikey just breaking down where he's sitting in this bathroom stall with Sherry, and he's like, sometimes I feel great. I just like, I'm loving life, working, loving the people around me. And then sometimes I just hit a wave where everything is meaningless, and it fucking sucks, and I hate it, and I don't know what to do. And it ties into, again, this is kind of where the spoilers come in, that John Bernthal's character, he does kill himself. That happens before the beginning of season 1 of The Bear, and it just has this repercussion throughout the entire show, even going into the latest season 4, where he's really just a memory to so many people in the show, besides like Richie and Carmy and a few others. But you feel his impact so heavily within the restaurant, throughout so many of the characters. And it was great to just finally see like him and Richie's friendship, because Richie always talked about like, hey, he meant so much to me and I love him as a brother, you know, even though he's not related. But just seeing Mikey break down in the bathroom, and you know, it leads to the scene where he's talking to Richie and he's like, hey, you're about to have a kid. Like, that's so exciting. Everybody clapping the bar. Like, yeah, fucking can't wait. Also, Richie, you're going to fuck this up because you fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And you're known for that. And you're a fucking coward and your life is shit and your kid's going to leave you and your marriage is going to get fucked up. And everyone, you just feel Richie being like, shut the fuck up. I'm not going to yell at you right now, but shut the fuck up. You feel everyone in the bar being like, we just met these guys a couple hours ago.
This feels like they're crossing a line right now.
It feels, it's tough. And it's just like, to me, kind of, like I said, you could watch this without having watched The Bear, but having that background of what happens with Mikey, it just feels like this episode happened probably pretty soon before Mikey actually killed himself.
Yeah.
And you just feel that this is his last effort of pushing away the last person that actually loves him, so that when he is going through the decision to take his own life, he thinks that nobody cares about him because he pushed everybody away. And that fucking hits hard. That is just an awful thing to think about. And I think that's what both this episode and The Bear do really well, is diving into like men's mental health specifically, with Mikey, and especially with how you see it reverberate with Richie, and then with Carmy as well, who Carmy is his brother, but he didn't know him like Richie did. And you see that, I think I mentioned it when I talked about The Bear season 4 a little while back, but there's a great just courtyard conversation like behind the restaurant where Carmy's like, I didn't know that his death impacted you as much as it did. Like, he was my brother, but like, he was your best friend. And it just adds so much context to everything. So this one just like really, I don't know, really hit for me, of just feeling the highs and lows of life, and of two people where one of them is, you know, married, is having a kid, is, you know, doing a lot of things in life. The other one is kind of just wandering, not really feeling like they have a place, but just feeling like, all right, I have to support this person, but sometimes it's difficult to do that because of what's going on in my own life. Very powerful stuff. Just like I said, it's my favorite thing that I've watched this year.
Yeah, I thought this was a really strong episode. It plays almost like a good pilot for a TV show. Like, it plays like a good slice of life pilot. Like, this is a good introductory point, I feel like, for the show, especially since it is set kind of in the leading up to the first season of The Bear. I really dug the dynamic between these two characters, and to kind of play off of that, I liked seeing throughout this episode, at least while they're in the bar, they're playing this game with all like the regulars and all the people around them of like fact or fiction, and you basically have to bullshit a story, or you tell a true story, and they have to try and determine if you're lying or not. And Richie is trying to tell a story, and they're immediately like, fiction, no. He's like, God damn it, God, fine. How about this one? And he tells a story about this really hot math tutor that he kind of unsuspectedly showed up to her house thinking like, I'm going to get this like schlubby woman from his grandma's church or whatever, and she's going to teach me math. Fine, great. And it's just like this woman that he's like, she's straight out of Sports Illustrated, like she's super attractive, the most attractive woman I've ever seen. And me, after drinking like a bunch of cranberry juice, and like my stomach's not sitting right with me, and like he's like, I can't. She only has one bathroom in this house, and it's right there. If I go in there, she's gonna hear me just blowing out the toilet, blowing out the porcelain. Just like, It was a funny story, but what really, throughout this entire episode, it is just a lot of funny moments between these two characters, and you just get a good idea of their relationship. And after he tells this really embarrassing story that they're all like, that's fact, like, this is true. And, like, I was so eager to hear what Mikey, John Bernthal's character, was going to be saying. He's just like, God, I fucking love you, bud. And I was just like, that's such an interesting reaction to have to this person basically telling a story to all these people of how he shit himself almost in this woman's driveway, and then just sprinted to Mikey's house. And it's just like, I love that connection that was established, and that's what makes that kind of almost heel turn, that end of the episode where he's, look at this guy's gonna be a dad, and he's hyping him up. And as it just kind of slowly, you can feel like, all right, we're going on too long on this. What's happening here? And then the other shoe drops of, you're going to fuck it up. You, like, every time, in every aspect of your life, you shit in the middle of the bed and you just fucking writhe in it. You wiggle in it. And it's just like, oh, it was devastating. And for not knowing the characters as much as you do, and as much as more people that have actually kept up with the show, going back to the limited stuff I remember from season 1, watching this, mostly just getting the information from this episode, it was devastating. And I think it's impressive how kind of quickly, because a lot of this episode is them just shooting the shit, palling around, but when it takes the turn and it goes more in depth and it's more serious conversation about how Mikey's doing, and the stress that Richie's under of, like, fuck, I need to get home by 5:15, and that whole kind of ticking clock dynamic of the episode, how that shows through in the latter moments, and how, like, it's the drama in this episode really feels like it's boiled down to, like, 15 minutes, and it hits so hard. And it's really well balanced, because a lot of that front half is very funny, and it's just, it's a fun, like, similar to one of our favorite movies, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a hangout movie. A lot of this episode's a hangout. It's just... Yep. Get to drive in the car with, like, two pals, and they're just shooting the shit and calling each other idiots, like, just having a good time and trying to find beer and fucking around, and it's a great time. But then when it has to get to the point and get serious, it does it really well, and it doesn't hold its punches, and it was just really effective. So it was a big surprise, and I wasn't really planning on watching this. I was really impressed with the release of this episode, and just like, hey, dropped a new episode. I'm like, beautiful idea.
Yep.
So smart to do something like that. One, obviously, like, Bear season, 4 came out a while ago. It's not really being, like, that talked about. Obviously, we have the next season kind of on the horizon eventually. This is a great way to keep your show in that conversation, in the zeitgeist, but also, it immediately, someone like me, who's not up to date, all right, yeah, I'll check this out. Like, this is kind of interesting. It turns this something that we weren't talking about, similar to what you're saying about how shows and movies are just kind of over-marketing themselves with so many trailers, to get something just dropped on us. It makes it event television or an event film. It makes it like a water cooler event. So it was really cool, them experimenting in this way. Granted, I don't know a lot of the story that leads into when I'm... And you mentioned before we started recording that the ending where it flashes to Richie, almost present day, and he gets into an accident in his vehicle. I don't know what leads up to that exact moment, and I'm guessing most people probably can... They have an idea, but they don't know exactly what gets him to that exact intersection or that exact situation. But I'm interested to see where that goes. But now, as a fan of only that first season, I have a lot of homework to do before I can get up to date with that 5th season premiere and that continuation of that story. So it's a great episode. It feels like its own pilot for a Richie-based story, and I really enjoyed that, and as well as a Mikey story. But a great episode, and really just moving moments between these two characters that definitely have a deep admiration for each other.
I think the reason that this feels so natural is that the episode, it was directed by Chris Storer, who created the show, but it was written by John Bernthal and Abedamos Backrack too. And it's just, you can feel that where it's like, we have an outline, but a lot of this feels improv.
Just
I don't know that for a fact, but it just feels like them fucking around and giving each other shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's such a I don't know, just a powerful hour of storytelling. And kind of one last thing with that bathroom conversation to tie it into Mother's Day a little bit. Mikey is talking about, he's like, I used to be so excited as a kid when my mom would lay out my clothes for field trips and be like, have everything ready for me and would know what to do and would have it there. And then he's like, one day I asked her, like, hey, what's the plan for tomorrow? And she's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
He's like, that killed me. That devastated me.
Yeah. He's like, I don't understand how that can be the same person. How those two polar opposite experiences can come from the same person. I'm just like, fuck. That's so upsetting. And just like, it's the pain of growing up, obviously, but also for that, I'm sure there's more there with that specific character, but it's just like, fuck, like, things change in like the relationship between obviously a mother and their son, and especially this character, that shifts. But it just, that hit really home with me. That was probably the biggest, like, of that bathroom sequence between him and Sherry. That little chunk where he was talking about his experience with his mom and like how he felt on top of the world when his mom would just sit with him and outline what they were going to do that day. And all right, well, hey mom, what's tomorrow? And just, what? What do you mean, what's tomorrow? Another day. Like, and just how devastating that is, especially for that character. But, like, again, coming to this show, coming to this episode, relatively somewhat new, outside of my experience with Season 1, I was just like, fuck. It's just devastating.
And knowing that character is played by Jamie Lee Curtis, you see her in a lot of future seasons, too. It makes sense of her mental health as well. But, yeah, just of the, like, how something can be so important to one person, and something very little, and then you like bring it up to that person, they're like, oh, I don't fucking know, I don't care about this, and you're like, that kind of meant the world to me, and you didn't realize that, what do I do now? And that's just like a series of those things happening to Mikey that play into the future. It's so good. I really love this, and it, obviously it's kind of a bridge between seasons 4 and 5, leads into The Bear Season 5, which was announced this week, coming out on June 25th of this year. I can't wait to watch it. It's, again, just, I feel like the conversation around the show has just been like, it shouldn't be in the comedy category, and it's just dismissing so much good storytelling and character work. I just get kind of annoyed by that. Even if Seasons 3 and 4 aren't as high as 1 and 2, I think there's so much good stuff in there still. So, recommend the show if you haven't seen The Bear. It's, it was hyped up a lot a few years ago when it initially came out, but if you just watch this episode, Gary, I don't even know if it's like included within The Bear on Hulu. I don't have Hulu.
I clicked into it and it was just, I think it was its own separate like entity. Basically, when I clicked into it, it just had, as soon as I got into Hulu, it was like recommended, and it was Gary, and it was like almost just like Season 1, Episode 1, Gary.
Yep.
And that's it. And I was like, all right, I'm ripping on this. Sure, why not?
Love it.
It was awesome. It was a good thing to kind of go in with, not necessarily like no expectations, but just something that I'm so far removed from when I previously watched the show that it was like I was getting a whole new introduction to different characters. But I do know, obviously, the Richie character a little bit more. And I love both performers. John Bernthal sometimes does slip into like, and maybe this is just like the writing for John Bernthal's characters in stuff. He kind of slips into like the typical John Bernthal mannerisms, and like he's a little bit moody, but it does work really well here. Whereas sometimes in like, say, The Punisher, where he's just really grunty, and I'm like, okay, just settle up. Like it's fine. Like move on, do something different with your performance. But for Mikey, it really works, I think, especially within like what they established between Richie and Mike throughout this episode.
100%. So check out Gary if you haven't seen it. Check out The Bear if you haven't seen it. Very high recommend. Let's move into something a little bit more fun and less a little bit depressing, which is Mortal Kombat with a K.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's, you know what, this week we had the new Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat 2, come out. Both of us rewatched not the original, but of this new kind of series of movies from 2021. Kind of an interesting time just looking back on when we both first watched this movie, which was during, still COVID was kind of going on. This was a day and date release on HBO Max. That's how I watched it. I think that's how you watched it as well.
Yep.
Didn't see it in theaters, which I wish I kind of would have, but I think like Godzilla vs. Kong was like one of the early ones that I was like, all right, I want to see that in theaters and not on my laptop or whatever.
I feel like Tenet was like my first one.
Well, yeah, Tenet, that was one.
After, that was like more like, we're on the other side of it, maybe.
It was like Tenet and New Mutants came out, And then everything shut down again for a
Yeah.
bit, and then came back, and I was like, oof. Great.
I still haven't seen New Mutants.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
That's the response. So yeah, I don't need to watch New Mutants.
But the original Mortal Kombat from 2021, it's fine on a rewatch. I didn't like it as much as I remembered liking it. And as a bit of background for myself personally, I've never played any Mortal Kombat games. I feel like I say that every week we talk about video games. I just haven't played all the games, but I haven't seen that original, or I haven't played the original games. I do like the 95 movie, I think it is, and then Annihilation's not good, obviously, but the original one's fine. I think there's some good fights and kills, kind of bookended with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I like the cold open to the movie of Scorpion's family dying and him, fighting Sub-Zero, and then kind of at the end when they come back, I think that's pretty good. Throughout, there's some fine fights, but it really just does feel like, all right, well, we all want to see the fight, whether you're a fan of the games or not. Like, we want to see this tournament between these crazy...
The whole point of this.
Yeah, that's the point of the game. So, it's very okay. The script is not very good, and something that we talked about that carries over into the second movie is just the way that characters are introduced, of saying, hey, my name is Cole Young. It's either... people introduce themselves or people introduce them in just a very exposition-heavy way of
here's their character paragraph description. Like, let me read it to you so you are up to speed. And you know this character's skill set. But it's like if you were to play the game and you click in and you're like, all right, this is how I play.
Here's a little bio.
This is how I fight as this character.
Like, here's Cole Young. He's a human punching bag.
This is Katana. Her sword traps the souls of its victims. It's kind of shitty like that. On a rewatch, I remembered liking this movie like a decent amount, and I have like a lot of nostalgia for the '95 Mortal Kombat. Granted, I didn't see that movie obviously when it came out, so I wasn't born. But it's so fun. The soundtrack is electric in that movie, and like the performances aren't great.
Christopher Lambert
as Raiden is so fucking campy.
Incredible.
He's crazy in that movie, but I really remembered enjoying Mortal Kombat 2021, and I remember watching it obviously HBO Max day and date on maybe a 32-inch TV that I was maybe sitting 10 inches away from, and I was laying sideways. So like the TV's like this, and I'm like this. That's how I watched 2021. But I remembered like overall enjoying it. I always bothered me that there's no fucking tournament. It's just the prep for the tournament. And we're introducing a character that is not from the games, which like I don't have the biggest exposure to the games. I played a good deal of Mortal Kombat Armageddon on PS2, and I've played a little bit of Mortal Kombat X. My college roommate, my freshman year and my sophomore year, was a big Mortal Kombat fan, so I watched him play a lot. I played a little bit. I'm not good at video games. He was, so he would just destroy me in it. But the combat in Mortal Kombat, that is solely the big thing of these films, of these stories, of these video games. That is the central aspect to the story. And in this movie, there's no tournament. It's just, let's get Cole Young, a character no one knows. Let's bring him into the world. Introduce him to characters that people do know that are somewhat fan favorites with Sonya Blade and Jax. And obviously we have the bookends of Scorpio and Sub-Zero that are, like you said, really good. Everything else is just kind of bland. And, like, we get Goro, but it's just, like, a really half-assed fight between Goro and Cole. Like, cool. Like, I don't even care about this character, really. And he's the lead. And he's very bland. He has a lineage to Scorpion, and that's, I guess, somewhat interesting, but that's it. It just feels so... It feels like they had a big story idea, and then the studio was like, all right, well, yeah, that's a great idea. Here's your budget. And they're like, oh, we need to rework everything. Not to say that that's necessarily what happened. That's just how it feels. It
also
feels
COVID budget-ish type thing. Yeah.
Which I just looked it up, and I don't know if this is like 100% accurate, but the budget was 55 US million in terms of kind of putting this film out. The combat is decent. The performances are uneven, and the dialogue is bad. And the dialogue for most Mortal Kombat movies, I feel like you can expect to be bad. The story, I feel like, is especially bad in this movie. Mortal Kombat stories, to me, as someone who has, again, limited experience and exposure to the video games, you're not writing Shakespeare, nor am I expecting you to write Shakespeare. But if you're making a Mortal Kombat movie, you best have a fucking tournament in it. And this movie does not have that. On the rewatch of this, I was so fucking bored. I was just like, okay, get to something climactic. There isn't, like, really a big climactic moment for me. It's just the bookends of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which the second one, which we'll talk about in minutes, I think knows that in retrospect that, all right, well, people really only like those little bits, so we'll harken back to those. But this movie just felt so... It felt like they had good intentions, but they completely just swung and missed and missed wide because they just... You're trying to make a film that appeals to the fans of this IP, but you're not including a central aspect of this IP of this tournament, of this competition. They mentioned like, oh, hey, we need to assemble the soldiers, assemble the warriors, which they also do again in the second movie, and they do it in the first like 10 minutes. This movie, they decided, we'll take 2 hours. We'll have Sonya Blade and Jax try and recruit Cole, and then Kano will be an aspect and an inner working, which... We'll talk about Mortal Kombat 2, like I mentioned a couple of times, but Kano still fantastic and is great in this first one. He still has some of the best lines. It feels like the director was just like, yeah, you say whatever you want. Actually, you got this. You're on the right track.
The two main complaints of that first movie are it doesn't have the tournament in it, which I 100% agree with. The second one is that Cole character where it's like, all right, well, why? People are like, why'd you introduce this new character that's not a part of the games? I don't mind that if he would have been written well.
Yeah.
Because I think it is kind of a nice outside perspective coming into this world from the audience to be like, all right, we don't know about Mortal Kombat. We need to get it explained a little bit. Sort of a Neo in the Matrix type thing.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I agree with that too, because then it's like, if you're a big diehard fan of the games, you might have your own personal favorite character, favorite fighter. If the movie doesn't pick that character to be the main character, does that piss you off? Like, I feel like it's fine to pick, like, a neutral party and bring a new character into this, and then you get that aspect, but it's just like, all right, well, do something interesting with them. Like, don't just, like, attach him to some other fan favorite character's lineage. Like, don't hark on that and really rely on that to make this character pop for audiences, because it doesn't. It doesn't work. That is the only interesting aspect to Cole's entire story is that he has a deep heritage link to Scorpion, and it's just like, all right. And like, what? Oh, he's the human punching bag. Okay, cool. Fucking thanks,
we get it.
guys.
Yeah,
we get
fun.
it. Like, awesome. Can't wait till you guys have a different descriptor for me in the next movie of just like what he is to this franchise. But
the best thing, and you mentioned it for a second there, is Kano. Played by Josh Lawson, who I don't know that I've seen in a lot of things, but Kano is the fucking best part of both Mortal Kombat movies, these new ones. And I just... one line from the first movie, when fucking Liu Kang and Kung Lao, or whatever the fuck their name, Kung Lao, whatever, he's like, why don't both of you get down on your knees and take turns sucking my sack?
Sucking my sock.
Fantastic. And that leads into Mortal Kombat 2, which...
Not the sack sucking.
Not
just
the sack
Kano.
sucking, but Kano's
Kano
lines.
being awesome.
Spoiler alert, I guess, for Mortal Kombat 2, because Kano gets resurrected in this movie. As does every fucking character that died in the first one. They come back. None of this shit matters.
No, yeah.
Nothing fucking matters. But we did see Mortal Kombat 2 on, Friday morning, which was Mason's birthday. Like we said, we like to see movies on our birthdays. A fun little tradition. And, the movie started after, 20 minutes of the projector not working and then the woman screaming from the back of the theater. Yeah, it'll be another couple minutes and we'll get it.
Which is kind of alarming. Because, nothing happened. Aside from the movie being projected from back there, you don't typically get to be in contact with the person being like, all right, the projector didn't work.
I felt violated.
It feels weird. It was kind of scary. It was like, oh my god.
But she did skip through all of the previews and everything.
Awesome.
Which I've had times before where a movie, the projector's not working, but they still play all the theater previews and then the trailers.
And just back up the entire day.
And it's schedule. 30 minutes late. So she was very much you could see it skipping, and I'm like, thank you. That's very appreciative. I don't have much to say about this movie. We both had a fun enough time with this.
Yeah.
It's probably like one of the better Mortal Kombat experiences that you could have in just like a modern movie. Again, Kano, fucking awesome. Another great line he has is, "Don't look at me with that tone of voice," when he gets resurrected.
Great line.
Incredible. And he's so fucking funny. He's the only one that really has personality to me in these movies. Everyone else is just like, hey, that's Liu Kang, and he's doing that. That's Cole Young, and that's Sonya Blade, that's Jack. I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. Kano's like, fuck you guys. I'm fucking doing whatever. It's Voldemort's nutsack or whatever. Like, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Big bleach dildo. That line fucking had cut me in half. I was just like, no way.
Incredible.
This is awesome.
Like, have some fucking fun with these characters. Don't be so bland and whatever. But, I mean, this is really just the tournament. You see everybody fucking fighting. There's fun fights. There's good kills. The one fight that stood out to me was between Liu Kang and the resurrected soul or whatever the fuck of Kung Lao. It was just the background kind of spirally, like blue setting, and then like floating platforms. Then it changes to red at a certain point. I thought that looked pretty cool. And then you just get like Shao Kahn as the big kind of bad villain in this movie. He's trying to get this fucking amulet in between the things.
The MacGuffin.
And you have Katana, and then
better Katana.
Better Katana. Suicide Squad, yes,
which is a low bar, but still,
no, doesn't take much. But you have her and Jade, and you kind of get the opening of this movie again, kind of a cold open of sorts with her backstory and being, her parents were killed, and she's raised by Shao Kahn in a sense. So, like, she was a fine character. She was okay. I'm sure fans of the games are really gonna love both her story and all of the characters and all the fights in this movie. It seems like it's kind of built for the fans. There's no depth to anything, so don't expect any characterization. It's just the fights, and that's kind of what we were all asking for from the movie. So, like, what more could you want, really? I had a fun enough time with it. It's kind of forgettable to me. I think you liked it a little bit more than I did, but like, it's still fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie because. And for, like, okay, this movie, in terms of being a Mortal Kombat movie, for me, and like I mentioned, my experience and exposure to the video games, this is an A+ Mortal Kombat movie. This is exactly what you get. Like, you're not going to get Shakespeare because from what I've understood and what I've experienced within the games, and in Mortal Kombat X, which a lot of people are like, this is one of the best Mortal Kombat movies, or video games. The story's still not great, and it's contrived bullshit of just still being able to get these people to fight, because it's just a tournament-based fighting game. And that's it. And that's okay. It works for what it is. But the story that they try and string along throughout the games, and also within the movies, it's just like, just put these characters in a room, have them fight, give me a weird, gory brutality, give me something funny, something tongue-in-cheek, and let's have a good time. And I think this movie nails that. Sometimes I feel like they try to be a little too serious, and I'm like, still maybe lean back. Like, again, mentioning what you brought up with Kano, of just someone with personality, someone that could just like sit back and be like, y'all taking it too fucking seriously. Just like, have fun with it. And I think there are aspects where you get that with Karl Urban as Johnny Cage, where he is kind of, which, going in from the trailers, I thought it was going to be a Johnny Cage story. It is a Johnny Cage and Katana story. Yeah. Those are like the two kind of leads coming at this story from different sides, different perspectives, and how they kind of interlock in the middle, which I actually really enjoyed. There are still, obviously, like, not great dialogue, some questionable performances, but the dialogue, the story, the overarching plot of this movie, I don't know what you expect more than this. Like, this is a Mortal Kombat story. We got the tournament. We got what we wanted. And we're getting some pretty good fights. Some of the fights are a little lackluster. I think the first one with Johnny Cage and Katana, where they fight, and Johnny Cage is realizing, like, oh, I'm in this tournament to the death, basically. And I'm fighting against very experienced fighters. And I'm trying to, basically, this entire first fight against Katana, evade her and stay alive. And it's just like, okay fight, but then you get one like Liu Kang and Kung Lao and their fight, and it's very interesting. It's well shot. I do think that the fighting and the choreography took a massive step up from that first one. Yeah. Where on a rewatch, I was like, it's not great. Where I thought it was great, but it didn't hold up too well. In this one, I think it is a massive step up in terms of just the production value, the choreography. Also, they really steer into the gore and the brutality and the different sort of finish him and the different kind of executions that they have within this IP that really worked well for me in the film. And getting the razor hat from Kung Lao and just it tearing through shit, I was just like, hell yeah, I love that. It's kind of hard because this is an IP, a game franchise that has so many fucking characters. It's like, how do you rein in and just like focus on a set number of them? And also, how do you balance screen time with them? Which it doesn't always like equal out 1-to-1 for a lot of the characters. One character that I think throughout both this and the 2021 film is not well written, and also I don't know if I blame her for a bad performance or if it is just the bad writing that she doesn't have much to work with. But Sonya Blade it's very much what you mentioned. The first thing that she does in this movie is introduce Johnny Cage to the other fighters as they're practicing, and she's like, that's Cole, and he's the human punching bag, and his body absorbs energy, and he can disperse it. He's Black Panther in Infinity War. He can just expel it whenever he wants, and that's Jax. He's got fucking Transformer arms, and I served with him. He's my best friend. And it's just like, I don't need you to give me a rundown. Like, I get this character does, but it felt like the creative team behind this sequel knew that so many people had big issues with that first film, and they're like, maybe we can try and rework the second film into being basically a first film in a franchise. How can we kind of skirt past that first film? We'll show some flashback scenes from that first film to kind of help cushion some kind of maybe gaps in logic if people didn't watch that first film. But it felt like they were trying to, all right, let's approach this movie like no one watched the first one and that they shouldn't watch the first one, or that they don't need to watch the first one because they shouldn't. And that's kind of, it felt like a creative team just trying to like smooth over. Like, forget about it. Don't worry about it. We'll keep you up to speed. You don't need to watch that one again. We'll just show you this one. And which I also kind of appreciate, because the first one, it's not great. This one I do think is a massive step up in terms of multiple aspects within the fighting, the production value. I think the acting is pretty well done. I like Carl Urban. I like his approach to Johnny Cage and him being a washed kind of basically Jean-Claude Van Damme at the end of his career. No one's coming to Comic-Con to see him anymore, and he's just like, all right, I'm going to load up my fucking little shitty Toyota and just drive off. Oh, no, I got Raiden fucking trying to take me to a portal dimension. Sick. I like Mehcad Brooks as Jax. I feel like we need to touch on one of the best aspects of this movie, and it is a spoiler. I like how they present the tournament and how they present the fighting. They have 5 on each side, 5 representing Earthrealm and 5 of just the villains, basically.
5 eggs in the sky to
5
show you
eggs
who's
in the
alive.
sky, red and blue, and how they highlight and whatnot. But Cole gets drawn in to face Shao Kahn, and I love it. I love every aspect about that. As someone who did have issues with that first film, granted, this is Mortal Kombat. You can bring characters back from the dead, and they do it a lot in the video games. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it into a Mortal Kombat 3 if we get one. But the way the creative team was just like, you know what? Throw him to the wolves. Let him get fucked up. The way Shao Kahn just drops this big fucking hammer and splats this dude's brain so blatantly and brazenly. It's just like, nice.
Well, it was also immediately after Shao Kahn got the amulet thing.
Yeah. Where he's basically immortal.
And, like, you see they each get, like, this glow around them when they're going to go and fight and,
Get
like,
summoned
a thing.
to their
Get
fight,
summoned
yeah.
to their fight. And you see, like, Shao Kahn and Cole, and I'm like, okay, well, he just got the fucking thing, so, like,
You got
there's no way this ends
Yeah.
without you fucking dying. Also, the rules are a bit unclear. Maybe it's in the games, too, but, like, sometimes people get knocked down really hard, and then they lose. And other times their head has to get bashed in, like, fucking yogurt, and then they lose. I'm like, wait, which one is it? Do they have to die or not?
I think the movie kind of fumbles that a little bit because it just feels like in this movie, at least in that first fight with Johnny Cage and Katana, it just feels like they get to a point of exhaustion almost. And then Katana's like, all right, well, you lost, but I'm not going to kill you. Like, I'm not going to finish you.
Same with Jackson Jade.
Yeah, Jackson Jade. In games, like, you can basically deplete someone's entire health bar and then you can just punch them and they fall over. Or you can finish them and absolutely mutilate their body. So I'm like, is it a play on that? But also, it doesn't work in the movie, really? Like, in the video game, if you accidentally punch him and knock him out, and you're like, fuck, I wanted to finish him, but I just punched him in the face and now the match is over. Like, damn it. I won, but, like, I didn't get to have the satisfaction of ripping their spine out from their back. Like, I get that. But in the movie, I'm like, I think you need to have a clear cut, like, every one of these needs to end in death. Not, oh, hey, I'll throw you a bone here. You don't have to die. Like, it felt kind of wishy-washy. And then you get to, like, some of, like, the obvious turncoat of Katana throughout this entire movie of where she is definitely not on the same page as the rest of the people fighting on her same side. And it's just like, all right, I know you're going to kind of want to go to toe-to-toe with Shao Kahn, and that's basically where this movie leads to. Which, like, again, I'm not expecting Shakespeare. It's just sometimes a little bit too... All right, I know exactly where you're going. Like, from the moment this movie starts, obviously, with, King Jared.
Jared.
Fucking dying, which I don't know if that's in the games or not. Give the guy a better fucking name than, like, Jared and Kyle both drink White Monster and punch holes in drywall. Like, those two names don't work within the realm of Mortal Kombat. No one with the descriptive adjective of king should be followed up with fucking Jared. Like, King Kyle, King Jared, bullshit. Sorry if your name's Jared. You don't watch us. Doesn't matter. And fuck it. I'll just hate me if you want and watch me anyways. But,
oh, nice. A little bowling quote
yeah,
there?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hate me or love me, you still watch, or whatever the fuck he says. But
deep pull.
yeah, wasn't expecting that in a Mortal Kombat 2 discussion. But
yeah.
The movie's, I don't know. I do think that this is similar to what I said. This is the best you can get from a Mortal Kombat movie. I would happily take more of these, but they do need to lean more into the tongue-in-cheek just bullshit of this franchise, which I think the Kano character gets really well. Johnny Cage sometimes gets it. Sonya Blade is so pinpoint, straight, flat, serious all the time, and I'm like, just have fun with it. Like, just be a little tongue-in-cheek. Be a little self-referential. Break the fourth wall if you want. I didn't give a shit. Do a little Deadpool shit. Honestly, I feel like that if this franchise really wanted to be great, that's the team that you need behind it. Is the team that brings us the Deadpool films. Get like a David Leitch in. Get a Tim Miller in. Get someone that has that kind of that approach to breaking the fourth wall, having some kind of darkly sadistic humor. Just have more fun with it. I think that they're really adhered to try and make this a really hard-hitting, serious franchise. And I don't think you need to do that. We just want to have a fun time at the movies and watch a lot of good fatalities, which this movie finally gave us good fatalities, but just have fun.
The first thing that I said after this movie ended, I turned to Mason and I said, that is just the big, dumb, stupid, loud movie.
Yeah.
Just
I loved it.
Loud noises, loud music, big, dumb, and stupid. It's an improvement on the first one for sure. I still don't like it as much as the 95 original one. That's still my favorite of these movies.
A lot of nostalgia.
I think that one just kind of captured everything well. But if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, I'm sure you're going to love this movie. I'm sure it's going to be for you. So it's a perfect summer movie to just... It's pretty, like, it's about 2 hours, a little bit under, but, like, it goes by pretty quick just because of the pace of it. It's just a lot of fights. So if you enjoy that, if you enjoy Mortal Kombat, you're going to have a good time. If you're not a fan of that and looking for, like, a good action movie with also good characters, not quite that for you, but it does have some fun kills, has some good humor from Kano, some enjoyableness. Go see it with some friends and have a couple beers.
I will say, it sometimes gets a little too meta, at least with the Johnny Cage character, where he's like, there's a moment where, it's towards the beginning of the movie, so I don't think that this is really a spoiler, but he is kind of, at the end of his career, he's a little washed, and this guy in the bar is just like, oh, you're from, like, Citizen Uncaged, or whatever the Johnny Cage titled movie is. He's like, I'm a big fan of that. And he's like, yeah, but people don't love that. That shit went out in the 90s. Like, people just want to watch John Wick kill a fucking room of 1,000 people with a pencil. And I was like, can we stop getting references to the John Wick pencil thing from the first 2014 John Wick film. Can we fucking ease off of that? Sometimes there's just like meta references. I was like, I don't need that here.
Yeah.
Like, this just feels unnecessary. You can still say this or say a similar message without saying specifically what you're saying about a select franchise that, yeah, a lot of action lovers do enjoy. But I would recommend this movie. I think it is a massive improvement from the first one. I would say go check it out. It's gory, but it's not, like, disgusting to me. I think that they probably could have they still could go further, and I kind of want them to just really dive into it. So I'd recommend that. That was the biggest release from this past week. I think it's a pretty good watch. It's fun. Catching up on a release from the previous week, which didn't have a whole lot of time, going to a lot of house showings. My wife was out of town for a bit, stuff like that. Just a lot of stuff going on, but her and I were finally able to get together because she really wanted to see this movie and go see Devil Wears Prada 2, which I know you talked about last week. And you mentioned that I think overall you liked it. It was just like, it's kind of forgettable, not as good as necessarily the first one, obviously. This is coming from the same director of David Frankel, who I've not seen Collateral Beauty. That movie, I remember the trailer clear as day. And just being like, wow, this is a stacked cast. And then I've heard nothing but bad things about that movie. So I'm like, oh, interesting. Whatever. But we got a lot of the returning cast. And we have Justin Theroux, BJ Novak, which I didn't really know was in this movie, at least as much as he is in the movie. And it follows Miranda Priestley and Andy and the way that they kind of intertwine and all that stuff. It's just a continuation, basically, a long legacy sequel to that first film. And I'm here to say I fucking loved this movie. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. Me and my wife were really excited to watch it, and I think waiting to see it maybe serviced us a little bit because I had heard your kind of complaints, your issues, so I kind of had that in the back of my brain going into it of like, oh, there's kind of some excessive cameos. Sometimes the story's a bit all over the place. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, there's some cameos where I'm like, you don't need these, but I'm happy that they didn't overstay their welcome mostly. I thought it was funny how well they cut around a lot of them. Like, yeah, don't let any of these athletes actually have lines or really act because we can't trust them. Like Kat, I don't think really has like a full sentence of dialogue. He's just like, yeah, hi,
I'm here.
All right, bye. And I was like, okay, well, it's all right, whatever. But I like the core group. I love the cast, obviously, the chemistry between Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Stanley Tucci, Emily Blunt. I like the way that Emily Blunt has somewhat shifted into kind of a antagonist role, where Miranda Priestley, she still is kind of venomous, but she's kind of softened, I feel like, a little bit in old age. She's not as like cold cut as the first one, and I always play it in the back of my head of like, why is your favorite line? And specifically because it's your favorite line, and I told Allie, I was like, Corey's favorite line while we're watching the movie. I'm like, Corey's favorite line from the first one is, and she's like, why the fuck you tell me this? Like, Justin Theroux's on the screen with weird fucking eyebrows. But she's like, why is no one ready? Just the delivery is fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's not like, I struggle to think, and obviously we've had a lot of time to kind of ruminate and marinate with that first Devil Wears Prada movie, which is somewhat of a classic. It's an interesting, really, time capsule of the early 2000s, and it works really well, and it's still a very fun film to watch today. There are some lines that I remember being taken aback by, and I was just like, damn, she's a fucking bitch. Like, she's so mean. She's so just evil. I still root for her, but, like, I can't, like, immediately dial up, bring those lines, those moments of dialogue back into conversation, and I can't draw from them in the way that I can do with the original Devil Wears Prada, which it might be, like, just a time thing of, like, I've had a lot of time with that first one. This one's still really new, and I've only seen it once. But there we go.
Wow.
Sorry, I've been swallowing and talking over my own burps for this entire video, and I just need to get those out. I do this like maybe every other episode, so maybe we'll get a burp counter for these. But yeah. I really did enjoy kind of, while she loses some of her just like harsh bluntness, I liked the evolution of the Miranda Priestley character. I do think the story kind of it's a like somewhat globetrotting, but there's like, we start with this fast fashion debacle of maybe a sweatshop, and then Andy Sachs gets reintroduced, and then she takes over the hard-hitting journalism for this magazine for Runway, but also it's Runway. Do we want hard-hitting journalism? Who's reading this? And it's just a conversation on viewers and getting people to really engage with their content. And then it's, all right, we have a fashion show in Milan. It kind of travels a lot. And then we also have the head of Runway, the owner of Runway, passing away on his birthday, which I love this movie. I think, this is a hot take, I think it can stand toe-to-toe with that first one. I think in some aspects it is a better film than that first one. I think it's funnier than the first one.
Get the fuck out of here.
I think the characters... I think I'll stop there. Because there's character moments that are really great in this movie. That there's also really great character moments in that first one, obviously. But the one thing that this film has that immediately is just a glaring negative is the harsh tonal shift of, I don't even remember his name, the boss of Runway, the owner of Runway dying on his birthday, Irv.
Something, yeah.
That felt like a joke. I was like, is this a murder mystery? Did someone poison him? It just felt so out of left field. And it was all kind of contrived just so that Meryl Streep as Miranda Priestley couldn't get this obvious kind of promotion that was hotly talked about and that she was due for, which kind of replicates what was happening to Stanley Tucci in that first one, which it's a legacy sequel. We got to kind of repurpose the same story beats and do it in our own way. I think Justin Theroux sometimes, his character got a little too goofy and felt like he was in his own movie. But aside from that, and aside from the death of Irv, or whatever the fuck his name was, I loved this movie. I thought it was really well shot. I thought it was a good, not to say that it's as big of a chasm or gap between films in the way that I think Top Gun Maverick just completely eclipses the original Top Gun. I love Top Gun Maverick. I think it's a way better film than Top Gun, far and away. I think Devil Wears Prada 2, I think you can make an argument for that conversation of being in that legacy sequel.
I think you can.
I think other people, a lot of people like this movie, and it's also making bank, which is really cool. Never would have guessed that a Devil Wears Prada sequel would be fucking raking it in, but I think that there is a argument to be made that this is the Top Gun Maverick of 2026. Devil Wears Prada 2? For sure, dude. This movie's killing it. It's making money. It is a legacy sequel that basically... Legacy sequel, we're just going to build off the same beats from the first one, but I think it does it really well. This movie just further solidifies that Stanley Tucci is one of my favorite human beings. Yes. That performance, that moment, and you can kind of see hints of it throughout the film where Stanley Tucci's like, hey, you thought you got this job just on a whim? No, obviously I put in a word for you. And then he says, forever my girl, and I about sobbed watching this movie with my wife. I was just I turned around, I'm going to fucking cry at Devil Wears Prada 2. I can't do this. And Stanley Tucci's exceptional in this. Emily Blunt. I just like these characters that are trying so hard to be good at their jobs and not trying hard enough at being good to one another, and how now in this film the relationships are really strengthened. They're war trodden, they're really well established, and now you can see the love, even though it's done in very specific ways that don't necessarily they don't exude warmth. Meryl Streep doesn't exude warmth in this role, but you can feel in the Miranda Priestley way how she cares for people, even though she is sometimes a stone cold bitch. I really enjoyed this film. I was surprised by how much I liked it. I really do still enjoy that first one. I don't know if I can confidently say which one's my favorite. And I'm not going to say that 2 is my favorite. But I think that you have a good kind... You have a part 1 and a part 2. You can give me a part 3 if you want in fucking 20-odd years or whatever you want. But I really enjoy... this didn't feel like a cash grab. It didn't feel like nothing, and I think that it was worth having this sequel 20 years later, which was always going to be the hardest thing to prove to me. It's why are we going back to this? It works. And it was satisfying to me. I really enjoyed it. It was just such a fun time. It was, and like I think I already said this, but it was so well shot. Like there was a couple of times throughout the movie I was like, wow, I was not expecting this movie to look this good. Granted, and you mentioned this I think when you were talking about like it looks a little glossy. It does. You lose kind of that film of the early 2000s, which does kind of suck. You get the charm of that. You lose that here. I said a lot.
Just a few things. To go back to my thoughts last week, this movie's okay. It's fine. It's like a C+ for me.
Oh, it's like a...
It's like a very, like, above average okay.
It's like a B+1/2.
Yeah, well...
It's scratching at an A-.
Just to... I'm not going to hash on everything again, but I think that... I do agree that... And I don't remember if I said this last week, but I think the cinematography is good in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's completely undermined by the color grading, by the Netflix look of everything, the Super Bowl commercial look of it, where I'm just completely taken out of the incredible way that they just filmed on sets and in buildings. I'm like, great, that looks awesome.
Pantene commercial. That's what you said earlier when we were driving
yes.
to Mortal Kombat, and I was like, that is a good way to
Everything is so bright that the cinematography is lessened by that, and that bothers me a lot in so many modern movies, in so many streaming movies, in so many modern legacy sequels, whatever. I also think you said you mentioned that you think this movie is funnier than the first one, but then you said you couldn't remember any lines from this one really compared to the first one.
It's more of like, I can't remember a lot of like Miranda Priestley specific digs, whereas like the why is no one ready, like just stuff like that. I can't remember like absolute digs, but I thought I consistently laughed more throughout this movie than I think the first one.
Interesting. Okay. Also, I think you kind of mentioned how it bounces around the story so much. That was an issue I had with this sequel, where it's just like, all right, it starts off with this PR crisis, then it kind of gets to Andy doing features, and then the guy dies, so then they have to switch to who's running the company, and then the intern has to put a phone underneath the table to do this, but then we're off to Milan, and we're doing this thing, and Lady Gaga's there, and we're doing this thing, and then we have to try and save the company from Emily Blunt and Justin Theroux, and then everybody's there. I'm like, fucking pick a lane. Do something. Where the first movie is just like Andy Sachs trying to make her way. Boom.
You can make an argument. You can make an argument that Devil Wears Prada 2, Andy Sachs trying to make her way.
Then we're just doing the same shit again.
It is, but like you can. It's a legacy sequel, dude.
And less. Then why do it then?
I think it works well. It's just you can. I feel like the first movie has a lot of like the same kind of travel aspects, like what they go to Paris or whatever for whatever fashion week or some bullshit. I don't remember. But like the story is more outreaching than just that through line of Andy Sachs trying to find her way. And I think it's similar in this movie where it's Andy Sachs trying to find her way, but then all these other things are happening of them going to Milan, the war for the ownership of Runway. I think that the first one is a little bit more simplistic in its approach, and it sometimes is a little bit more cleaner, because, again, I don't love the whole Irv thing, and it just felt so, like, when he died, I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? I was like, where are we going? And it was really shocking, just, not even that, like, he died, it was just the way that it was presented. I was like, this feels like a hard stop. Like, the momentum that we've built to this point in the movie is at a grinding halt because this character died, and it's like, all right, now we have to go to a funeral for a character that we barely have seen, and now BJ Novak is a very prominent presence in this movie, which I love BJ Novak, but you have not aged well, my friend. I am so sorry. Your eyes get darker and deeper set, and your nose gets bigger every fucking year. I am so sorry, my friend. I love you, and you're deeply hilarious, but I'm not going to say anything more. It's just going to get mean, so I'll just stop there, but like there are aspects of Devil Wears Prada 2 where I'm like, that's not great, but then there's aspects of Devil Wears Prada, it is a classic, I get it, the first one, where I'm like, I don't give a shit for this. The whole like on again off again thing with like the budding like journalist or the guy that can give Andy Sachs a good in while she's also potentially like not cheating, we talked about this already, but not cheating on her boyfriend because they kind of broken up, but like that whole dynamic I don't care about and I don't need. There are aspects in this Devil Wears Prada 2 where I'm like, I don't need that. But the whole, like the I'd say the 85 to 90% of it, I'm like, yeah, fucking on board for all of this.
I think that's another part. I don't know if I talked about last week, but the relationship with Andy, her relationships in the first movie and the second one, Where I think is in the first one, it is very much she's losing her morals over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
And she, with her boyfriend and with her friends, where she's like, no, like, I don't really give a fuck about runway. I don't give a fuck about fashion. But then she's like, starts getting him stuff and starts doing that. And then her boyfriend's like, hey, we used to like just making grilled cheeses here and doing this. And he's like, you're kind of leaving me behind. And then she learns a lesson. And at the end of the movie, they're like, hey, we're kind of doing different things. And we learned from that. Whereas the relationship with Andy and whoever the fuck the Australian fucking bloke's name in this movie is.
Pretty sure Peter.
He's just there because there's no, like, thematic reason for him to be there besides Andy needs a love interest. I don't think there's a reason at all for him to be in this movie.
I disagree, dude.
What's the reason for him to be in this movie?
The whole thing, like, you get it kind of... Granted, this might be a negative. It's not the most, like... glossy kind of like subtle thing about like repurposing like old buildings and like making them new, like just like her basically like, we don't need to dress up dinosaurs, like we don't need to, like, let's keep things original, like keep them in their original aspect. I think that bleeds through in her journalism career, and like he reminds her of like the good things that she's done in journalism, not the what are we wearing this summer, like the things that she doesn't want to do at runway. Like, granted, that might be the stuff that gets him more clicks, but he keeps her on course, or at least reminds her of the course that she should stay on, of, no, write hard-hitting journalism in a way that somewhat can relate to fashion or high fashion if you can find a way. But I think I much more preferred Peter. Again, I don't even remember his name 100%, which, whether you want to say that's a negative or not, his presence and the impact that he had on Andy in this film, I much prefer to whatever fucking guy from Entourage's impact on Andy Sachs was in that first film. Like, I would take, I think, again, Peter, you don't need any of these romantic relationships, but I would prefer the relationship that she had in the second film. It felt more kind of more mature, which, granted, I think the first one film, she's probably freshly out of college, and it's just like I'm trying to figure out the hustle and bustle, and we want to make grilled cheeses, but I don't like my job. Just, I don't know, the How I Met Your Mother stuff, and now the more like lived in Andy of just trying to stay true to her career and true to her morals. And I'm like, I really like this. I like his approach, and I like how understanding he was. I don't know.
I don't disagree that the idea of it is great. I think it's just that it's so divided where he disappears for 45 minutes of the movie. Yeah. And then I forgot that he was there, and she comes back and she's like, also, I kind of want to be with you again. Like, I
thought that was the ending of that was smoothed over so easily.
Right.
It's one scene of her coming back, knocking on the door. And it's also very cheesy. It's very much like the Love Actually bullshit. Just like, I don't remember the fucking cue cards that Andrew Lincoln has in Love Actually, but it's very much like, I just want to be not perfect with you. And it's just like, okay, can we rewrite that, please? Can we write that in a different 2026 way?
Right, and that's the thing, is like I don't disagree that there's good ideas in this movie for sure, but I just think because the focus is split so much between so many different things, combined with the filmmaking, not necessarily the cinematography, like I said, but just the actual look of the movie itself that I didn't care for, is what really bothered me. Just like looking back at a movie from 2006 where I was just like, it's not just nostalgia. It's not just like, this is a classic, so I should like it more than the original. I do think it is truly a lot better than the second one. Again, I think the movie's okay. I had a fine enough time watching it. Yeah. I didn't expect us to have a Devil Wears Prada 2, but I like it. It's fun. Let's get into something else that we also kind of disagree on a little bit, which is the finale of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. As kind of a sort of Cliff Notes version of this episode, the one thing I wanted to mention before we get into episode 8 here was, I don't know if you saw this or not, but we talked a lot last week about, spoiler alert, for all of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Come back and check this out. But at the end of episode 7, Daniel dies, and I didn't realize that the original ending had him live. I don't know if you saw all of these articles and the interviews that came out about it, where they filmed it where Daniel lived, but in post-production, they changed it to him dying. So none of the actors really knew until post-production that he died. So they added CGI to like Buck shooting the bullet and like his head snapping back, and like added all that in post. And so like Michael Gandolfini found out that his character died after filming everything. I didn't realize that.
That's interesting.
And it's very interesting because we both talked about last week how we thought it was kind of the right decision for that character, even if
we want that character.
We want that character.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mixed on it still, but it's sort of an interesting just where I'm like, all right, you guys you improved on season 1 of Born Again, but you're still not 100% sure in your story.
You're not out of the weeds yet, yeah.
You're still not committed to everything. So, anyways, moving into this finale episode, we get Karen Page on trial. Fisk gets called to the stand, and basically Matt comes back in. And this the first half of the episode was my favorite chunk of this, where
the courtroom drama.
The courtroom drama, which has always been such a great part of Daredevil, where Matt comes in and is just a great fucking lawyer, and he's bringing up evidence and facts, and you're like, yeah, you're a good fucking lawyer, dude. And then he eventually reveals himself. He has his I am Iron Man moment where he says, I am Daredevil, to the courtroom, to all the cameras that are there. I like that moment. I think it works just in terms of he's trying to get Karen free, and he would be willing to do that, realizing that as a last resort, as a witness to the Northern Star, the ship from the first episode sinking. He's like, I was the only person there, really, as a witness. And you said that, I was a hero. Matt Murdock is a hero for saving my life, as Kingpin's on the stand, and then being like, all right, well, if you think I'm a hero, I am Daredevil. Daredevil was on Northern Star. Do you think Daredevil's a hero? That's a great, like, lawyer kind of, like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, you said he's a hero. All right. You said I'm a hero. You think he's a hero?
Not only that, everyone has accounted that I was there. I'm a witness. I know what happened on there.
Yeah. That's the stuff that I loved about this episode. I thought it was really good. Also, we get a little bit of Bullseye taking out, like, his, like, kind of a poser.
Yeah.
I think he even says, like, poser in the episode, of these people that are like having a sniper through the courtroom and all this shit. Really like the first half of this episode. I personally did not care for the back half of this episode. To me, it got really goofy. It got really corny, and it after the trial ends and the judges decide, like, yeah, Fisk, there's enough evidence against you, and we're going to prosecute you for all the crimes on the Northern Star. And the governor comes in after surviving and is like, all right, yeah, we're taking you down. You're going to prison. And then we get all these people that are sort of dressed like Daredevil in the city that are kind of uniting. And they come into the courtroom or into the courthouse, and they do all this stuff, and they're kind of fighting Fisk, and Fisk says boo really loudly and punches a lot of people, even though all the judges are there, but he can still just kill people. Because, people want to see Fisk unhinged, which I also wanted to see, but not quite in this manner. But then, Daredevil and Jessica Jones are also there. One side note, I love Jessica Jones just drinking while everybody else is talking about stuff, where she's just like, I'm going to crack open this whiskey.
Yeah, she finds a bottle, she's like, nice.
Sweet. I'm like, love that as a side note. Love that character, love her. Kristen Ritter's great. But I was talking about it with you a little bit. The way that it was edited together felt very clunky to me. I don't know. I know they tried to frame it as like a Daredevil and Fisk both having hallway fights.
Yeah.
But the way that we got there felt very weirdly edited to me. And I don't know if a lot of other people felt that way or not, but it felt strange. And then we have kind of this coalition of on this stairway of like all these Daredevil lookalikes going up to Fisk, Daredevil saving him, being like, no, we need to justice, grace, all this stuff. And Fisk takes the deal. He goes to the island. Daredevil goes to prison. And that's kind of how the episode ends. I have more to say, but I want to kind of hear your thoughts. For me, it felt very clunky and strange in that back half of the episode.
I'm more positive on this episode than you are. But, like, your complaints from what we were talking about it when we were driving to Mortal Kombat 2, I get your complaints. And there's things that this episode, while I do like it largely more than you, that still piss me off. the way that Fisk is able to kind of skirt all issues and any kind of repercussions, and they give him basically this plea deal of like, hey, if you just leave, we won't chase you. You'll be fine. You'll be on an island. You'll get to basically win out of this situation, which like he doesn't, because like he doesn't get to be in New York. His wife is now dead, but like he gets to just escape, and it felt too easy for this character, especially for me personally. I've been wanting this character to die, and basically, I feel like this character needs to die. We've had 5 seasons of Daredevil where this character has been the central antagonist. We need to move off of Fisk. We need to move off of Mayor Fisk, Kingpin. We need to get over him. There are more villains for Daredevil than just Kingpin. I don't need Lady Muse necessarily. I think that character plot, a bit rushed. I think that Heather as a character has just been kind of mishandled, especially in this second season. I feel like they didn't know how to kind of repurpose her to fit into a more kind of like, all right, well, it's going to boil down to Daredevil and Kingpin and the fight for New York or the AVTF. The acronym fucks me up every time. But I do really love that first half. I think that the reveal and him which sadly was spoiled for me. I saw it on Instagram. I didn't watch this episode till Wednesday night, and I saw Wednesday morning the I Am Daredevil, and I was like, "Fuck off! God damn it!" But I think that reveal has way more oomph, way more pressure, way more power than the I Am Iron Man. I think that is a way more influential moment, and it means more to Matt Murdock than it means more to Tony Stark. Whereas it feels like in Iron Man, I like Iron Man, I like that reveal, but it feels like an ego thing. And it feels more of like, I don't know how to get around this, I don't know how to get ahead of this, so I'm just going to get in front of this and say, fuck it, I'm Iron Man. Whereas in this, he's like, I'm doing this for a purpose. One, I will start a revolution, but also, no. In the court of law, I am now a suspect. I am evidence. What I have seen, I'm a witness. I know things about this man. The court has to take my shit as credible evidence against Fisk, which I loved. And I think it has bigger repercussions, not necessarily for the MCU, but for this character's conflict that they're facing. Whereas Tony Stark is just like, yeah, I'm Iron Man. Cool moment. But like here, I'm like, I am in on this. This means something for Matt Murdock. Whereas Tony Stark, I'm like, yeah, cool. You'll be fine. It'll change your trajectory and your life a little bit, but for Matt Murdock, this changes everything about his life. I think that I really enjoyed the boo fucking through me and him wrecking house. I was like, finally, I'm one of those people. I've been waiting for Fisk to just shell out. I needed Fisk to have his Vader Rogue One moment, and we got it, and it was great. I think it was like genuinely disturbing the way he was just dismantling people. Granted, my wife did sit with me and she was like, is he like super, does he have super strength? Like, does he have an ability? I'm like, well, no. So like that part gets kind of sticky, like trying to explain Kingpin to people, because like he doesn't have like an ability per se, but he's just a big bitch that's just mad. And cool for that, but there's a shot of him wrecking a guy's, like turning a guy sideways and just wrecking him on a door frame, and I was like, oh, fuck that sucks. But I do think that the cutting back and forth, I'm like, Daredevil has not been able to grow past the hallway fight, and they're like, everything needs to be a hallway fight. Yeah. Everything needs to be a oneer. It needs to be an old boy kind of play off of like the hammer fight down the hall. I'm like, can we just like move past it? And it felt, while I liked what I was seeing, it was just like, can we just do something else, please? It was nice to see Fisk Hulk out, basically. It was nice to see Daredevil kind of fight his way out of the courtroom, the area where he was about to get kind of cornered. I like the idea of the rebellion that is raised by Matt, but also it feels so rushed. Like, it feels like this episode was meant to be like an hour and a half. Because we get a montage of maybe like 3 to 5 shots of people just rising up, and now they're all donned in red and at the courthouse, and then one AVTF soldier or officer is like, fine, I'll just fucking cap this guy or debilitate this guy, and yeah, now all the rest of us, yeah, we're fine with you guys coming in. It was just like, let's that's too easy. Like, there's just some things where I'm like, I feel like they were cut for time, or they were short on time, so like, we need to do this efficiently. And I'm like, you can take your time, make this as climactic as you want to, just make it believable, make it work. Where I'm like, anytime that they kind of felt like, where I felt like they were cutting a corner, I'm like, no, okay. Like, again, Netflix has reigned superior for all the Daredevil stuff. This is still getting close, but it's just, all right, well, we're almost there. Still almost there.
Well, I guess the reason I kind of said earlier, and you mentioned a little bit, is like why it feels choppy to me is you get that moment where Officer Powell, who is kind of like on the fence, he knocks out, Officer Cold North, I think his name is. He knocks out Powell.
He's the scarred guy. Like,
who killed White Tiger in the first season. He's like, he knocks him out, and then he's like, all right, you protesters and Daredevil people can come in. There's like 30 other AVTF agents that are there. I'm like, you guys are all cool with this?
Yeah.
The scene immediately cuts to randomly, like, journalists are in the courthouse getting attacked by AVTF agents. And it feels so weird because I'm like, all right, well, which agents are here? Which agents are there? And then there's fights. And then I think a reason the Fisk stuff didn't work for me as well is that, I guess to me, throughout all of seeing Vincent D'Onofrio as Fisk, because there was a reason he was always killing people, whether he was slamming their heads in car doors, whether they betrayed him or backstabbed him, or they were just a nuisance like Ben Urich in, I think, the first season, whatever. There was always a reason he was doing that. And in this one, I think it could have been such a small change of, instead of him opening the doors and just starting to kill people, they came into the courtroom and started attacking him, and he has to defend himself. I think it's such a small change to make, where instead of him being like, these are citizens that are dressed up like Daredevil, I have nothing against all of you. You guys are attacking me, and I have to defend myself.
I think I like that, knowing where Fisk ends up. If Fisk were to die at the end of the show, like I wanted him to, then I'm okay with him doing the boo and just raging out as long as he dies. But I do actually agree with you on that. If he is to have kind of a happy ending, which it's not a happy ending, but he's free of all the kind of the repercussions of his antics in New York, it's like, all right, well then I want it to happen to him. Like, I want them that out to be more believable. Because when he's just wrecking shop, it's like, you're going to try and convince me that this courthouse doesn't have cameras and that people can get access to this. So you don't think BB has access or is able to get some sort of kind of like skerfuffle on what the fuck Fisk is up to. I thought that the footage, the clip that Fisk put out to the public, I was like, oh, it's really, I think that this is well done, and how much it looks like a BB report, or like the reports of Fisk, like, I'm Merrifield. Like, I thought that was good, how close those looked. I thought that BB revealing herself as the guy, or the person under the mask, I was like, that was a real limp dick way of doing that.
Also, like 2 minutes after he posted the video, she had footage from that and edited everything.
Yeah,
and got, it's just like,
again, you can pad out the runtime a little bit, make it a little bit more believable. I feel like you could sharpen this up a little bit, and as opposed to cutting corners in that moment too. But I agree with you. If you're gonna let Fisk off in the way that this show or this season kind of did, I feel like you have to let him be a little bit more of not the aggressor, more of the reactor.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna kill him the way I wish that they fucking finally would, or please would, unless Punisher One Last Kill finally comes through and kills him, and Frank Castle goes after him, then I'll be satisfied. Right now, I'm unsatisfied that he is still alive, because then he is still a potential antagonist to Daredevil, and I know Disney's just like, we'll just run it back. We'll do it again. Yeah. Fucking why not? He's still great. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of it. This guy's got shot in the face before, and he's still alive. But if you're going to kill off this character, make him the aggressor. I agree with you on that, though.
And, yeah, just to kind of get to the ending of this episode, I teased it a little bit, but Fisk goes to the island, Matt goes to jail. I thought it was kind of interesting, and Charlie Cox, actually, he talked about it in an interview, but when him and Karen are in the restaurant, and he gets on his knees. I'm like, is he going to propose right now?
I also thought that.
And he was like, Charlie Cox mentioned that in an interview. He's like, during that scene, we thought, like, will people think that? Or will they think that he's surrendering himself to police? Which is what it is.
Yeah.
I get what they're doing of Fisk is on an island, but he's actually in his own prison. And Matt is the most free that he's ever been by revealing himself, but he's in a prison. I get it.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
I don't know. It felt a little corny, and that's why this episode, the back half, didn't work for me as well. I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't mind Daredevil being in a prison at the end of this. But yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned Heather putting on the Muse mask and doing that, setting up a season 3, maybe plot line. We'll see. Kind of last things I'll mention here. Luke Cage shows up. We get Mike Coulter back, and again, it's kind of to the point of where we talked about the Bear episode, Gary, earlier, where it's just like so unexpected. This had been so kind of like, all right, well, we're going to see Luke Cage. He shows up, and it's great. I love Mike Coulter as a character. I'm so excited to see him back in the MCU and like doing stuff in season 3 and any other projects going forward. Seeing him with Jessica in the Alias Investigations room is great. And then you see Bullseye on the plane with Mr. Charles, played by Matthew Lillard, who I thought was very underused this season.
Very much.
Very disappointed in that. And like they kind of tease it as Bullseye's going to start working with the CIA or the government or something. I like.
He's going to be the guinea pig. He's a guinea pig now.
Yeah. They kind of leave off some points. There's still some questions of like, what was Luke doing overseas? Why did Matthew Lillard's character order CIA to kill Jessica Jones? Like, maybe we'll get that figured out in season 3. I don't know. I thought that overall, Daredevil Born Again season 2 was an improvement on the first season of Born Again, 100%.
Kind of by far, yeah.
And I think that I'm trying to remember. I think episodes 4, 5, and 6 were the strongest. The middle portion of the season were awesome. I loved it. Episode 5 was a lot of like, hey, this is filmed like the original Daredevil, so you like this, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a gimmick, but I liked what they did. And then I think the beginning and end, I thought, sort of hit a lot of the same notes as season 1, where I'm like, these characters are here, and I like these characters and these actors in these roles, but not quite hitting for me. I think it's okay. I know you have your ranking of the seasons of Daredevil, just the 5 seasons. For me, it's very clearly 3, 1, 2. Insanely huge gap. Born Again Season 2, Born Again Season 1. For me, there's nothing that has touched that. Not even, again, like Devil Wears Prada thing, where it's like the nostalgia of it. I think it's just better made. There's nothing that tapped into, even with Season 2 with kind of balancing Punisher in the hand. I think both of those things are done so much better equally than anything done in Season 2 of Born Again.
Yeah, for my ranking would be, I'm happy that you and I both, and I think most Daredevil fans would say like 3 and 1 or 1 and 3. Like those are the top 2 seasons of Daredevil. For me, I'd go 3, 1, and then I'd put Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and then a pretty big gap, and then Daredevil Season 2, and then Born Again Season 1. Or Season 4 of Daredevil. However you want to mark this. I wish they would drop that subtitle at this point, just so for the ease of talking about it. Because it is just the continuation of Daredevil, bringing these characters and the overarching themes and stories back. But I think that, for me, a lot of my issues with Daredevil Season 2 is just like the stories all over the place. We have Punisher, which I love. We have The Hand, which I'm interested in. We have a story or an aspect or a plot line of Elektra, which I'm interested in, but I'm also like, that season's so overbaked. I'm like, there's so much going on, it's convoluted. I think this season is a little bit more streamlined than that, but I don't think it has, and maybe time will tell, maybe a Season 3 will help to kind of resolve it, but I think aspects of Born Again Season 2 are a little messy, left up in the air, not fully answered or resolved, and again, maybe time will tell. I do ultimately like that same stretch of episodes 4, 5, and 6. 7 was pretty good. 3 was pretty good. Like every episode in Season 2 of Born Again was at least good to me. 4, 5, and 6 were, all right, we're back at it. And then this episode, or this most recent episode, the finale of the season, I've seen people being like, this is peak Daredevil. I'm like, it's not peak. it's big for the characters. How it was handled, I'm like, pretty good. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been better, and again, similar. Like I think that they could have added some time to this. They could have padded it out a little bit more. They could have built a little bit more of a robust kind of run time for this. Make it an hour and a half long episode. Spend more time. Make the kind of lead up to a rebellion a little bit more believable. Otherwise, it did feel like at times in this episode they were cutting corners. I feel like that this season as a whole did kind of. This is the best that Disney Daredevil can do in terms of getting close to what Netflix Daredevil offered. Even though in season 2 of Netflix's Daredevil, I think that story is very messy. Granted, there is an episode in there that is one of the best episodes of Daredevil by far. Daredevil and Punisher on a rooftop just fucking arguing theologies and their own kind of perspectives. Some of the best Daredevil you can ever get. Some of the best superhero stuff you can ever get. But that entire season as a whole, I kind of struggle with. So I don't think that there's a... If you say that Daredevil Born Again Season 1 is the best episode of Daredevil, then there's a wrong answer. But other than that, I don't think that there's like a big wrong answer to how you love or interact with Daredevil. I think that this was a solid stab the second season, and I'm more excited for Season 3. But I'm worried, and this kind of ties into kind of how you've approached like Superman and stuff like that. I'm like, bringing the rest of the Defenders in now what has been kind of confirmed at this point, I'm worried that we're going to lose sight of Daredevil, and this is just going to be Defenders Part 2, which I still haven't even seen the Defenders. So
it's good.
I'm sure it is, and I probably would like it. I think Sigourney Weaver was one of the big heavies in that show, so I'm like, all right, I'd enjoy that. But I want this show to always remain a Daredevil show, a Matt Murdock show. I don't need to see Fisk anymore. I want fucking... If Heather's going to be Lady Muse, have that be a little fucking Villain of the Week episode. I don't know. I don't know if I need that to continue on into anything, because I was already upset with how they handled Muse in the first season. But I think it was not a home run, but I was like, all right, you doubled and you tried to steal third, but then you went back to second. Like, it was pretty good. You got on base. For this finale. I think that the season as a whole, though, was really, really strong, and I'm pretty happy with it, and definitely in comparison to that first season of Born Again.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't know if my camera, my phone is still recording. It's sort of on like a weird blurry thing, so we'll figure that out in the edit. I'm not sure if my phone's dead or if there's not enough storage. We'll figure that out later. The last TV thing, because we are an hour and 36 minutes into an episode that I thought was going to be an hour and 10 minutes.
There's not a lot of movie news.
I don't know what happened in this episode. We're drinking. We had whiskey too much before this. Anyways, Maul Shadowlord came out on May the 4th, which was Monday. And we kind of previewed it, and I really love this show. I've loved all the episodes that we've had. And yeah, it's blurry. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Are you touching?
I'm touching.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Nothing. It doesn't show me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. We're going to figure it out later. We'll either do like just an audio only part of this, and we'll figure it out later. And I don't know. Maybe my phone's dead, possibly. But I'm just going to talk to here. And Maul Shadowlord, the kind of spoiler alert for these last couple episodes. We had, Maul and the other kind of heroes getting out of the city, and then to kind of spoil actually, before we get to that, there's a great scene where Maul and the heroes are trying to get out, and the Inquisitors are coming after them. There's this whole, like, field of toxic waste, sort of, that they have to get over, and there's, like, one transport thing to get over it that they do. Really great lightsaber fight, and just the mechanics of like, all right, we can only send 2 people over this thing at a time. So we have to send 2, send it back, send 2, send it back as they're fighting. Really good stuff. But also, the big sort of spoiler alert of this, Darth Vader shows up, and it is fucking awesome. The last 2 episodes of Maul, some of the best Star Wars I've watched in such a long time, where you have Maul and Devin the Jedi kind of fighting, and Iko Diodaki, who we talked about I don't know why I say it like that every time, but you know, you have the three of them against the 11th brother, Marok, and Darth Vader comes in, and everybody loves the Rogue One Darth Vader hallway scene where he's just fucking killing dudes. But it's so great to see Vader just hacking, where he just has his lightsabers, just hacking down on dudes. Because in the original trilogy, it's just kind of like, you know, the little battles that they had, and at the time they couldn't do a lot with choreography stuff. But seeing him here just being this dominating brute force is so awesome. And something I just didn't know I needed to see, or didn't even, like, in my head think that I could see, was Darth Vader fighting Darth Maul. The concept of that is like, yeah, because Darth Maul died in Phantom Menace, Darth Vader's in fucking New Hope. Yeah. As a kid, I would have been like...
In Phantom Menace, he's still a child.
Yeah, right. It's just like, I don't, like, it's nothing, so it's like, whatever. Seeing them fight here is incredible. And again, I've highlighted the animation of this, which is so good. Seeing them fight in like this old temple and across this ruined bridge, it's just really, really great. And then there's a point, I know you may watch it at some point, but you don't care about spoilers, no, I know, really.
Not typically.
But Maul, at a certain point, the elder Jedi, Iko Diodaki, Maul sees him fighting and he lets him die in order for Devin, the Padawan, to kind of turn to Maul. And it's a choice that's made that's so impactful, where he's like, I could go, but what are the long-term ramifications of this? What if I let her use her anger of her master dying to join me? And that's very much the last shot of the season, is her kind of tapping into her rage and anger. It's fucking awesome. It's not just the action and the choreography of the lightsabers that's cool. It's the characters and why each character is doing stuff. It was such a good May 4th release of being like, Star Wars Day, I'm in the mood for something to watch Star Wars. It's great. I can't recommend Maul Shadowlord enough. I know they've teased other seasons coming out in the not near future, so hopefully that's pretty soon, because I really like this show. Just very good Star Wars that we've had, and I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check this out at some point. I'm not going to harp on it too long, just because I worry that our recording devices might die on us potentially in doing this. So we're going to hop into the new releases. So what's coming out at, well, not even the end of the week, on May 12th of this week, which I believe is Tuesday, we'll have Punisher One Last Kill, which I'm really excited about. This is going to be obviously the return of John Bernthal as Frank Castle. Searches for meaning beyond revenge. An unexpected force pulls him back into the fight. I'm excited to see more of John Bernthal. Again, my big hope is that somehow he just fucking wastes Fisk. Don't know how that's going to happen since he's on an island and all happy, potentially. I don't know. But I'm excited to check that out as the next, Marvel special presentation or Marvel one-shot coming to Disney+. In terms of major releases that we have this week, 3 films that I'm also kind of somewhat equally excited for, except for maybe one of them more. We have Is God Is, coming from director Alicia Harris, which I believe is directorial debut, starring Sterling K. Brown, Janelle Monáe, and Vivica A. Fox. Story follows 2 sisters that embark on an epic quest for revenge, confronting a charged family history that will push them to extraordinary lengths. It looks kind of horror, sci-fi. I'm kind of into that. Obsession, which has had a absolutely spectacular marketing campaign, I feel like, for a horror franchise or a new potential horror franchise, is also coming from director Curry Barker, who I believe has also been tapped to... He's coming on to
Texas Chainsaw
for, I believe, A24. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself. But after breaking this mysterious one-wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at his dark and sinister price. The trailers are really good. The marketing's been great. I'm really excited for that horror film. We also have, as is kind of a custom thing, every 2 years, every other year, we get a Guy Ritchie movie that no one's really paying attention to, but it has a really star-studded cast, and it just kind of pops up. And that's very much the story with In the Grey, which, again, coming from Guy Ritchie, directed many other films like Wrath of Man, Man from U.N.C.L.E., obviously Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Gentleman. But this is starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Henry Cavill, Isaac Gonzalez, I should say, and Rosamund Pike. A covert team of elite operatives are living in the shadows when a ruthless despot steals a $1 billion fortune. They're sent to take it back in an impossible heist that erupts into a deadly game of strategy, deception, and survival. Feels very Guy Ritchie. The trailers feel fun and action, very action-heavy story, so I'm somewhat interested in that. We'll see kind of what that surmounts to if I will actually check this one out in theaters. I've only, I think, seen Wrath of Man in theaters in terms of Guy Ritchie films. I think that's the...
Ministry of...
And Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which you and I went and saw.
Yeah. I also saw Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows in theaters.
I'm jealous.
I love
those
that
movies
shit.
are pretty great.
They're fucking awesome. But yeah, stuff this week, The Punisher, One Last Kill. I mean, we talked about John Bernthal with that, the Bear special, Gary, and I think I like him more as Punisher than you do, I think. I know you have issues with him just being grunty and kind of whatever. I think John Bernthal is really talented and I think doesn't get enough credit for being a good actor because he is the tough guy a lot of times, but I think he's a really good actor, and I am so excited to see him in One Last Kill.
Not to give away what you were doing for a watch through for this upcoming week, but you mentioned it to me earlier. Are you doing a Punisher watch through, right?
Yeah.
I hope that you will see the potential in Ray Stevenson from Punisher Warzone. I think that he had the potential to be the best Punisher. He was great in Punisher Warzone, but if they continued on with him, I think he still is my favorite Punisher.
Okay.
John Bernthal I still really like, but he does kind of like it just kind of divulges or like just resonates and turns into him grunting about stuff, and I don't know. I like John Bernthal, but a lot of his performances for me are just him getting really moody and grunty. But Mikey's great in what I saw from Gary.
I'm excited to watch through the Punisher movies. I actually haven't seen any of the Punisher movies. It's a very big gap in my Marvel knowledge to watch through this week. I'm very excited to watch those.
I haven't seen the first one with Dolph Lundgren, but the other two are a treat in different ways, and I think you'll get enjoyment out of both of those.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about those next week. But Obsession is the one in theaters this week that I'm just the most excited for to see that. Talked about it a little bit at the top of this episode. If you're still here, the blackening Mason got for me on 4K Blu-ray. Obviously, I bought a double movie for Mason. He already had Lost Highway, so talk about something in the next couple weeks that he used that money for to buy something
Marty
new.
Supreme, I still don't have.
Oh, true. I almost thought about buying that for
Shuffle
you.
that out.
And then I was like, it wasn't in his top 10. I know he liked it, but
I need to add that at some point.
so I was like, all right, maybe you buy that, and that can be the gift. But coming up this week, just a couple things. Twinless with Dylan O'Brien, Peter Hujar's Day, and then a very fucking awesome steelbook for Fight Club, with the bar of soap on there, which is great. I talked about that movie and the book a couple weeks ago, and it's very much worth your time if you haven't both read the book or watched the movie. It's really good. And then Moneyball's coming out on 4K as well. Into the last bit of movie news is kind of the biggest thing. You know what? I'm going to go in a weird little reverse order here, but we had Matthew Lillard, who we talked about in Born Again Season 2. He was cast in Man of Tomorrow. We don't know the role yet. Also, announcement of Hocus Pocus 3 coming out. Haven't seen the second one. First one's fun, little spooky horror movie. I like it. Ari Aster coming out with a new movie called Scapegoat with Scarlett Johansson. Love Hereditary. Love Midsommar. Like the first half of Eddington. I know you like Eddington a bit more than I do overall, I think.
And Beau is Afraid is an epic.
Oh, yeah, Beau is Afraid. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Beautiful. Just a big dick monster. Fuck yeah, dude.
Beau is Afraid and Eddington. First half of those movies. Great.
Love them.
Back half. Yeah, all right.
He's 4 for 4.
He is 2.5 for 4 or 3 maybe for 4.
If you do a half out of both.
Yeah, total everything. And then we had some news that Matt Shakman is directing a new Planet of the Apes movie. It's not a continuation of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We're both kind of disappointed because we liked where that story was going.
Yep.
But I like Matt Shakman in that role. He obviously directed Fantastic Four First Steps, so curious to see about that. And then we had some new Academy rules for the Academy Awards. Came out, obviously, some big things with AI. That's a big talking point. Acting and writing must be done by human beings, not AI. Great. Love that. Keep establishing more of those rules. so we don't have more Val Kilmer AI-generated movies that are eligible for things. One of the bigger things is that in 1 year, an actor previously had not been able to be nominated for like best lead actor if they had 2 lead acting roles. The example recently I came back to was Timothée Chalamet in 2024 with Dune Part 2 and A Complete Unknown. He got nominated for A Complete Unknown, but they would take the highest one of however many votes they got for whichever role. And with his new rule change, he could have got nominated for both movies. So that's kind of interesting to see. We'll see if that takes shape. I feel like it'll be very difficult for that to happen, but it could happen in certain years for sure. And then the other kind of big thing to me was the international feature category. They didn't fully acknowledge this, but in previous years, the international feature film was awarded to the country of whatever movie won. So Sentimental Value, I think, was France, or what the fuck was Sentimental Value?
Denmark?
Or
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm blanking on that right now, but or Parasite with South Korea. Whatever movie that you're going for, it would get an award to the country. It's kind of weird how they worded it now, because they said that the award now is going to go to
Norwegian.
It was Norway, yeah. So Norway for Sentimental Value, whatever. The award now is going to go to the movie, but on the plaque is going to be the director of the movie and I think some of the producers. But it's not going to count for that director to win. So Joachim Trier he wouldn't have an Oscar for Sentimental Value, but his name would be on the award. Strange to me. Weird, because I think it should just be the same as Best Picture, where it's the producers. Yeah. I don't know why they have such an issue with that, whatever.
There is an addition with the international feature, which I really did enjoy, or I'm really excited about, is that they expanded the eligibility of it, of if an international feature film with, they'll allow non-English language films to be submitted by winning a qualifying award. So if a country doesn't necessarily submit, hey, this is our nominee, or what we would push or position as being our nominee for our country, if that film, similar to No Other Choice by chance, winning at a qualifying award, that gives it a stab at being within that 5 nominee list, if it makes the cut. But if a film from a different country wins a qualifying award, that automatically kind of puts it into the conversation. So we won't see No Other Choice was one that came and went last year, where it was how didn't that get talked about? How didn't that get a nominee? So I like that kind of expanded eligibility update to the Academy Awards as well. For sure. And I think that opens the door, not as a specific example, but it was just an accident last year. Technically, an Iranian movie, but it was a French nomination, where I don't remember specifically what awards Nouvelle Vague won, but that was also a French movie. So, it opens the door for more movies that could maybe win some of those awards from similar countries.
Get nominated, which I think that's a great choice for sure. And then kind of finishing up with some of the trailers from this week, we had Tony, the Anthony Bourdain movie starring Dominic Sessa. Love Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers, so excited to see that. Evil Dead Burn, we had a teaser a little bit, I think last week maybe, and then we had kind of a more full trailer. Looks like a lot of fun. Looks like a great Evil Dead movie.
Looks fucked up.
Looks fucked up. Perfect. And then the biggest thing is The Odyssey, which we're both excited for this movie. We're seeing it in 70mm IMAX.
We're driving 6 hours.
Couple months to go see this movie. I really like this trailer. I like the first trailer they put out for it. A lot of weird discourse on this movie surrounding the trailer. Both in the production design of people saying this... What are these costumes? They don't look accurate. To what?
This is a fictional piece.
To what? This fake story of Odysseus? This not real character? To Greek mythology and sirens and cyclopses? What do you mean not accurate? To what? If you said that, we've had movies like Braveheart and Gladiator, where it's you can take some of those things and be it's not accurate.
It's but saying Star Wars isn't accurate. Luke Skywalker wouldn't wear that. Who the fuck's to say he wouldn't? Like, what the... Like, it's a fictional story. Who gives a shit? They're adhering as best as they could to what we basically have in terms of true history or true accounted history.
I don't understand those complaints, really. And then the other part is the dialogue of saying the words dad, and then also Matt Damon saying, let's go, to the army that's following them. Yeah. I don't really have an issue with that.
Shia LaBeouf really tanked let's go.
Yeah, it's kind of become like a meme, I guess, but that one I could see a bit more where if you change dad to just father, you wouldn't have these complaints really, but again, the movie hasn't come out yet, and that very well could be the line in the movie. If it's not, I still don't really have an issue with it. We've seen trailers for Infinity War have entire scenes that just aren't in the fucking movie.
True, yeah.
So I don't have an issue. I think the trailer looks sweet. I'm excited for this movie, obviously.
I love everything that I've seen. I can't wait. I think that people are getting so fucking pissed off and getting their panties in a twist for no fucking reason. Just wait until the movie comes out. This is a piece of marketing material. If it doesn't work for you now, granted, all of these scenes are taken out of context. So wait until you see the movie with these scenes in context. If you still have an issue then that's your own personal business. That's your own opinion. But if you're like, this is marketing material. If you don't think the marketing material works or is effective, if it's not making you more excited, if it's taking away from your excitement, that's another story. But if you're just sitting there critiquing, oh, they shouldn't say fucking dad. Fine. Too modern of a word, that word dad. A fucking dad? That's not a modern concept. Get over it, you bunch of bitches. It's a trailer, and it looks fucking awesome. Just settle down and wait for the movie to come out in July. Go and see it and let your eyes fucking melt into the back of your brains because you couldn't fucking fathom handling something as epic as Odysseus and the Odyssey, something that's so perfectly transcribed by Homer that you couldn't fucking handle seeing that or conceptualizing that in your own goddamn fucking brain. It's like when people are like, oh, Denis Villeneuve is adapting Dune. You think you have a better idea of Dune than Denis Villeneuve? He created a better visual experience than anything your fucking PG-13 goddamn stupid brain could handle or fathom, okay? So just wait, it's marketing material. If it didn't work, fine. But if you're gonna sit here and fucking nitpick every little goddamn word, every little, I don't think they should wear that fucking costume, Agamemnon shouldn't have that type of helmet, fucking settle down, you prepubescent fucking just wait until the movie comes out, and then you can fucking give it an actual valid opinion, because you saw the fucking thing. Thank you for sitting down with us for another episode of Slate Night the Film Fan Podcast. Obviously, it's not always about what's on screen, it's about who's next to you in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, great rant. That's good. We haven't had one in a while.
People are just, they just want to get mad.
I do, before we go to the final outro of my line, I do want to say, I think that Oppenheimer, being as successful as it was at the Oscars, is sort of having an impact. Because for so long, Christopher Nolan was the greatest director of all time that never had an Oscar. He made Inception. He made The Dark Knight, the movie that spurned the 10 Best Picture nominees. Yeah. He had Interstellar, a movie that is so beloved by so many people. Memento, so many things. And
Dunkirk, my favorite.
It's still a little bit crazy to me. I do like Dunkirk. I think it's good. I think it has flaws, but it's good. He has so many movies nominated for a lot of awards and stuff. But now that he won for Oppenheimer, not only picture, but director, Cillian Murphy won so many awards, I think, weirdly, the internet narrative has flipped from being this underrated director that deserves everything to, all right, he won now.
Now prove it.
All right, now he's overrated.
Yeah, now he's overrated.
All right, now he's, it's fucking woke or whatever you want to, like, I don't, it's so weird how quickly the internet can flip with, like, Oscars and stuff, so it's strange. We're both excited for the Odyssey. We're going to have a fun little Odyssey of our own to go watch this movie in July. So, anyways, that's all we got. This is a very long episode. Thank you for sticking with us. It's going to be just under 2 hours, and it is, like, not a lot came out this week, and not a lot happened this week, but we just, had whiskey.
It was our birthday weeks, and it's Mother's Day today now, and I need a piss. And I already did my outro.
I also need to piss a lot. You also did the outro. So, from Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.